Hi. You want to build a computer? Is that actually what you came here for? Well, this computer I want to show you, or this computer case I want to show you, is so astonishingly bad. I think you will be shocked to your core when you learn it's $160. I think you will be amazed that people would buy this, that people would sell this. And I think it's going to send a very clear message to those of you who don't understand the whole RGB thing, that the whole RGB thing is a money grab. It is a highly profitable, unnecessary item added to a computer case that may, in reality, have a negative impact on the computer's ability to perform well, to cool well, but it looks really, really cool, even if it doesn't make any sense and it's very, very expensive. That's what I'm going to show you today. This is the KEDIERS 7 RGB fan glass computer case. Looks pretty nice, doesn't it? I especially like these two fans behind the glass. Just think about that. I'm going to give you a minute to think about. They put two fans directly. It's like having a car inside of a garage that doesn't have any doors. Okay? I just want you to think about it for a minute. I'm going to get another drink. Did you think about that? Are you with me? Okay, we haven't even started yet, but you know what you're in for. You know what you're in for when you see they placed fans behind a piece of glass. This is $160. And one of the first two things you're going to see about it is, where's the air coming from? How can that fan be up against a piece of glass? Whether it's blowing air out or pulling air in, it's basically being blocked on one side with a piece of glass. That's, yeah. Okay. Well, look at these fans on the front. Aren't they attractive? Why is this funny to me? Well, have you seen it yet? Do you see anything protecting the fan blades from interference from fingers, pets? Can you slice a cucumber through there? There's no fan guard anywhere. There's no fan guards. I can touch these. They're completely exposed all the way around the case. So this is not a case for children or people with small animals, unless you don't like them. But boy, doesn't it look good? Okay, this is $160. $160. This case, I'm sure the tempered glass has some expense to it. But everything else is fairly pedestrian and simple, and this should cost less than $80. It's more than twice that because they can, not because they have to. This is something where they're taking advantage of people who look at style over substance, in my opinion. Because when I take these glass panels off, and you see how this is made, you're going to say, I get the title of the video now. A hot dog doesn't look like the ingredients of a hot dog. Right? You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you look at a hot dog, you might be like, hey, it looks quite tasty. But if you look at the factory making the hot dog, you may not want to eat again for a few days. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. And in this case, I feel sorry for anybody who pays $160 for this case, because to me, they could have got a much higher quality case that's safer and better built. In my experience, I could align you with a case for the same or less money that's more versatile, better airflow, makes more sense, and less dangerous. You know, we're not going to have any exposed fans. Now, it gets worse. I'm going to take these thumb screws off of here, and we're going to get the glass removed because the fun's about to start. Now, this is fantastic. This is fun never stops. I want to make sure you can see this glass as I remove it. So let's turn this towards the camera. Now, as I lift this glass, I want you to look at the area of the glass where the fans are. There's something very important there, namely the name and branding of the case. Can you see it? How about now? That's a pretty awful place to have put their logo in the wrong color, wrong location. If the idea was, let's promote the name of the company that manufactures the case where everybody can see it, we'll stick it in front of the fans where no one can see it. Yeah, great design work there. Now, the one benefit of this is that if you ever thought you had to know anything to design and sell a case, let this be your inspiration that even you can sign a contract with a factory in China to manufacture a case having no skills or education in case design engineering or thermodynamics, and then charge 3 times more than it costs you to make it. All you got to do is understand the business. You don't have to understand cases. Just make it look cool. People will buy it. The more RGB, the more profit, the greater your sales will be. Don't worry about sharp edges. Don't worry about how well it's assembled. Don't worry about fan guards. Don't worry about where your logo's placed. It doesn't require any special education. Anybody can do this, and this is proof. It's about to get real. Let's get the other side panel off. Let the fun begin. Let's get this other glass panel removed. I don't know why there's a glass panel on that side. I guess if you want to show people your cabling in the back of your motherboard. So let's talk about several of the design failures of this case. And I'm gonna point out probably not everything. I'm only going to point out what I've noticed so far. And to do so, I need to grab the handheld camera and bring it over here so you can see the devil's in the details. And at a distance, it's a fairly attractive case. It's different. You look at that and say, wow, it's very different. And there's a few things wrong with it that you can't really see until you start to actually build in it. That's when you realize, oh, there's some real problems with this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch over to this handheld wireless camera here, and we're going to get into some of these nooks and crannies, and we're going to expose the truth like CSI over here. Let's see what we got going on here. All right, let's go to camera. What is this camera called? Point it at you guys. Wireless camera, does that work? Hey, it's working. Okay. All right, let's do this. Let's look at it like this. So first of all, you have these 2 fans. What's holding these fans? I don't understand. I've heard of magnetic levitation fans, but I don't think that's what that means. Well, you see, there's two screws. Sorry, there's two screws. These aren't regular fan screws. These screws go all the way through to the other side of the other mounting hole to give the fan some rigidity. Otherwise, it would just be floppy. I don't know. This is really stupid. But look, it doesn't matter if it makes sense. Look at the inside of the case. You see this motherboard cutout? You see this? Yeah. So if you put like an AMD CPU in here, the back of the CPU is over here. It's right in this area. Like if you had to put a heatsink on to your motherboard with an AMD motherboard, this cutout is wrong. This cutout should go the other way. It should be rectangular in a horizontal way, not in a vertical way. This is in the wrong place. So make sure you put your heatsink on before you put your motherboard in, especially if it's an AMD build. Now the case, you can see how well built it is. Look at this. Watch this corner. Do you see that corner? Nothing is securing that. Oh, did they just forget one screw? Yeah, they forgot one screw 7 times. This is all over this case. There are areas where there's no, it's not secure. It's not riveted, it's not welded, it's not screwed down. And you think, well, maybe that's because it comes out. Well, no, because there's a rivet up here and you can't remove the rivet. It's riveted, but not riveted here. Why? How about right here? How about these 2 points? Let's see if I can get an angle on it. Right here. Let's come around this side. Maybe we'll just look at it this way. Here's the front. Is that supposed to do that? Okay. Okay, so then it must be, no, wait, there's rivets. There's a rivet there, right here where my finger is. There's a rivet over here. Okay. Okay, so it's kind of installed. Yeah. Look, we have one USB 2 and one USB 3. Why? I don't know why. I have no idea. Because each cable takes 2 USB ports. So where's the other 2 USB ports? This controls 2 USB 3.0s. Once you plug that in, it's only giving you 1. Where's the other one go? So they did the same thing with the USB 2 port. They're giving you half of what your motherboard that you paid good money for supplies you with. Well, congratulations. You have fans you don't need and USB ports you do need taken away. That's great. That's a wonderful design philosophy. Now, it's very inconsistent. Over here, we've got some screws, you see, or rivets. But over here, not so much. I don't understand what's happening right now. And if this is a power button, then what's this? Why is there a power button here? What's this then? Is one on and one off? I don't understand what's happening. This doesn't make any sense. Oh, it gets worse. I'm nowhere near finished. All right, this says that you can put, hold on, let me get rid of this camera for a second. I'm getting myself nauseous looking at it. Oh wait, that's not the camera, that's the case. Okay, here's the deal. Here's a real frightening thing. To me, it's frightening. Gotta put this away. The case, it says it's going to work with full-size ATX and micro ATX motherboards, right? So you can put a full-size board in there. Now you can tell that very easily by just looking at the back of the case. You can count the number of slots. So a mini ITX system will have 2 slots, a micro ATX will have 4, and a full ATX will have 7. That's pretty traditional. Somebody's asking me if maybe one of these buttons controls the RGB lighting. That's quite possible, but it looks exactly the same as the power button. I don't mind if one button does one thing and one button does something else, but they're not labeled and they're the exact same button. They're exactly the same. Nothing indicates one is for RGB and one is for power. I guess you just push them and find out. This is really stupid. And where a lot of manufacturers are going to one audio output that combines your microphone and speaker, they've gone old school with a separate output and input for your audio. None of this makes any sense. Okay, so we've established it's not well constructed. It's flimsy. It's missing screws or rivets. It has fans that don't seem to have any purpose. They steal 2 USB ports from you, and they say it'll fit a micro ATX and ATX board, but the cutout is in the wrong place, and the standoffs are pre-installed and not removable. So there's a standoff right here. Is it this one or it's this one? One of these two standoffs down on this side is required for a micro, well, both of them are required for a micro ATX, but one of them is to be removed on an ATX board, but you cannot remove it. It is welded to the motherboard tray, which means the back of your motherboard is going to hit that standoff if you're using a full-size ATX board. So while it does physically fit in the case, the back of the board, depending on the design, may short out against that standoff. I have tried removing the standoff, and the only thing I can do is, first of all, the standoff is round. It's not a hex head that you can unscrew. It is a rounded standoff that is welded to the case. So with enough force, I'm sure I could grab a strong pair of pliers and break it off, but you'll never put it back on again. For that reason, we don't want to put an ATX motherboard in this. Furthermore, the other problem it's got is the shallowness of the case. I don't know how you can tell, if you can tell, but you see these little posts that stick out. The glass is going to go here, and the motherboard's going to go there. So if you want to use a third-party heatsink like a Scythe Mugen 5 or a Be Quiet Dark Rock 2 or Pure Rock, or you want to use Noctua's NH-U12S, the one I like, you will not, it'll collide with the glass, basically is what I'm saying. But don't worry, for an extra fee, this company has the guts to sell longer standoffs for the glass for an additional fee to accommodate normal size third-party air coolers. Are you insulted yet? Oh, don't try putting a liquid cooler on this. Don't for a minute think that you could simply say, you know what if we keep these fans, because they're proprietary fans, they have a 6-pin fan header, I don't know where you buy those, into a proprietary fan controller. But you might think to yourself, well, maybe we could solve this by putting a liquid cooler behind it. Like, what if we keep these fans so we keep the look of the case, but instead of having them blow into this abyss, what if we put the liquid cooler radiator behind them, right? Like a 240 radiator should fit. It does not fit. The case is a little too narrow for the width of the 240 millimeter radiators I have tried to fit. So it will not work. You cannot fit a radiator on top because it'll hit the motherboard because of the angle. You cannot put the radiator in the front because it's too narrow. And you cannot put the radiator on the bottom because there's no support structure for it and your power supply is there. So, all-in-one cooler? No. Did I mention it was $160? So, this is quite interesting. Let's take a look at the Amazon page. Let's see what the reviews are. How do people like this case? Let's take a look. Okay, here we are. This is the KEDIERS. They have numerous models of this case. And when I say numerous models, I mean one that has 5 fans, one that has 7 fans. And this one comes with a remote control, which is a very generic remote control sold with nearly anything that you can buy off of AliExpress or Etsy that contains a generic RGB light. It's the same remote control used universally in all this, what I call cheap junk. There's nothing unique about it. It's all very standard, normal. It's the same junk. Nothing unique, nothing custom made. There's the remote control. Yeah, I'm sure if you've had anything that's got a light in it, if you ordered it from China or it came from China, it probably has this exact remote. If we look at the way that they promote this case, They're showing a full-size ATX motherboard, a micro ATX, and an ITX board, but the cutout in the back is more obvious and how it's not going to work. For larger cases, the standoff that can't be removed for the ATX case is frightening. The fact that they say 240 millimeter radiator there is ridiculous. And they say 240 millimeter radiator without any consideration that it's not possible to mount a radiator under that. Because, I mean, you could if you didn't have a motherboard in there, maybe on the top, but the front is just too narrow. Let's go to the next picture. What do we have next here? Oh, it can support a really long graphics card. Okay, because that's what I'm going to put my 3080 Ti in. Scroll down a little bit. Wonderful feedback from players who bought the KEDIERS open case. I'd like to meet some of these people. This person somehow put they put a Corsair cooler on there. So it can be done, I guess, if there's a different liquid cooler on that one. Somebody did something to the top of that case too. Oh, the cooler's on the top. Oh, yeah, that's, wow. In all cases, it looks like the cooler was placed on the top of the case. Because, you know, when you want to mount something to your computer case, you should mount it to the outside. I thought the parts were supposed to go in the case. I've been doing it wrong this whole time. I feel like such a fool. When you pick the different colors, you're going to love this. When you pick the different colors, there's ice crystal white, gray, off-white, red. I didn't see red before. And white. So, do you want white, gray, or ice crystal white? I think those are all exactly the same. I don't think the picture changes. You see, when I go in that picture on the left isn't changing until we get to the, is that one? Oh, look, the shade of white is a little different. Well, that's very important to me. I got to have the right shade of white or I'm going to return it. Now, that one actually looks far more pleasant. Black and red is a nice combination. I wish I would have seen that. So apparently they have two colors, black and red or white. 3 different shades of white that are almost imperceptible to the human eye. Ah, the illusion of choice. Love it. Let's see what it says. A powerful cooling system. It's pre-installed with 7 RGB dual light ring LED fans, 5 in the front, 2 on the top. The open design can keep the GPU continuously low. My GPU doesn't move. Wherever it's put, it'll stay continuously, making your computer run more smoothly. Wow. Somebody's reaching. The KEDIERS 570, oh, we finally got a model number. Gaming case is equipped with 2 4mm thick translucent tempered glass, which can clearly see the RGB lighting, which can protect and display the components in the building and bring better to players' game experience. You want me to read that again? Would you like me to translate that? Our glass is very clear. And the benefit of having it is that you can clearly see the RGB fans that do nothing behind it. This will improve your gaming experience. I don't think these messages are FDA approved. Let's keep going. Synchronizable RGB lighting via motherboard. It allows you to control fan lighting with a 5-volt 3-pin addressable RGB motherboards. Compatible with motherboard software includes US Aura and Sync from MSI, US Aura Sync, MSI Mystic Light Sync, etc. What does etc. mean? That's pretty specific. I/O panel, 1 USB 3.0, 1 USB 2.0, and 1 HD audio, an RGB button, and a power button. So yeah, you're correct. One of those buttons is an RGB button. Great. Which one? And it's got remarkable expansion. That's right. The expansion is quite remarkable. It supports mini ITX, a micro ATX, and ATX motherboards. Now, it doesn't support them so they'll function without any possible hazards to the grounding and shorting out of a large board, but it will definitely fit in there for sure. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. $159.99 is all it's going to take. But I want to put an air cooler in here, and you said the glass is too it's too close to the inside of the case. It collides, right? So you're going to love this. Somewhere here, there's a let's go to Amazon search. KEDIERS computer case. Let's search again. And it's in here somewhere. Somewhere. Right here. USB audio accessories. What is this? Just for only $19.99, you can get fast free shipping with Amazon Prime for a dual aperture color. Part number is fans. That's interesting. The part number spells a word. Wonder what that stands for. Hurry. 3 left in stock. Order soon. What is it? What is it? Pin type 3.5, size 1 fan. I don't think they understand what's being asked. What is your favorite color? 7. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what this is for $19.99. Maybe I should order it and find out. Oh, there's more. Oh, there's so much more. I want to find, this is KEDIERS, and let's see if I can sort this by price. Price, low to high. And I'm looking for something for like $4.99. There it is. Case expansion screws. They want to nickel and dime you for every single thing on this case. Like the $160 didn't saturate their greed. This is just not enough. Instead of including this with the case, and they don't even make it available to you to be aware that it exists, but if you just go looking for it, this will increase the internal space of the chassis. It's suitable for the height of the full range of CPUs. Oh, you know, I don't recall it saying on the main product page that it would not accept full height CPUs. It told me how wonderful the RGB was and how it would improve my gaming. So what am I getting for $4.99? 5mm standoffs. You couldn't have just included that with the case, or maybe just put that on the case by default and get rid of the little ones? Not when there's an opportunity to get another $5 out of your pocket. This is a money grab. This is greed with no logic and no morals or ethics. They're not doing anything for you that all they're trying to do is empty your wallet to their greatest possible profit. This is, so far, the single worst designed, worst built case for a computer that I have experienced in, I'm just going to say 2021, right? This is the winner. This is the award winner for the greatest attempt and the poorest attempt at trying to create the illusion of value through nonsense. This is positively one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. And the fact that it costs so much money is offensive to me. It's got 3 ratings. Let's see what it says. There's a review. Needed to make a fan fit my CPU, and it does exactly that. Thank you for charging me for something that should have been included at a $160 price point. However, the only issue is it messes with the case, and I'm afraid it'll break the case over time. But thank you. Thank you. Thank you for charging me for this. Thank you for making it available. That might break my case. 4 stars. That is a very generous review. A very kind person who apparently likes to be beaten. Thank you, sir. Could you beat me a little more? I want to go back to this case. There's 631 reviews with 4 stars. How is this possible? Amazing case. I know some people have had bad luck with this case, but mine turned out pretty damn good. The case was solid and nothing was loose. I don't know that he got the same case. There's not a lot of room for cable management, but I think I did pretty good. It was pretty easy. I did not use any standard hard drive or solid state drive. I ended up using two M.2 solid state. He used a Prime X299 Deluxe. How did he fit that? Holy cow. Everything you want to know, good and bad. The case is visually amazing. There's some things that aren't great. Wire management's pretty difficult, and before you even put the motherboard in the case, you have to install your SSD and hard drive first. You have to remove the bottom fans to put your power supply in. Oh yeah, those bottom fans, because those are critical to the cooling of the computer. Look at the 5-star reviews. If you want to know the current state of the mental condition of the modern young generation, I can assure you that the vast majority of these reviews must be written by people under 30 years old. I can't imagine anybody over the age of 30 would find this to be anything above 2 stars. I would be shocked. I would really love to know the age of these reviewers. Now, when you look at the breakdown of the reviews here, it's a little more telling. It's saying it's got 4 out of 5 stars average, right? That looks pretty good. But when you find out how they get there, it's less than 60% of the people who bought this case that gave it 5 stars. So 6 out of 10 gave it 5 stars. Then you look at the 4-star ratings at 15%. But what's the next one? The next largest amount of feedback comes at 1-star ratings. Now, this is where I fall. You will regret it. Far from innovative. Order 2, both broken on arrival. Parts aren't attached and fall off. Scratches and indents avoid this. Poor quality control with good cooling and RGB. Wanted to love it, of course. Cheap electronics, buyer beware, 30-day warranty. Broken and cheaply made. Great style, utterly inept design. Standoffs are not movable. So I'm not discovering any of this on my own. I'm not the first person to discover what is obvious. Okay. Did you get all that? How many would you like? How many can I set you up? Would you like 4 of these? Hurry, they're going quick. Yeah. Yes, Joshin says if it lights up, it's an amazing case. Yeah, that's kind of how the logic runs these days. Look at all the pretty lights. Yes, it was difficult to work. And yes, it was expensive. And yes, it's cheaply made, but I'm going to give it 5 stars. Okay, I'm not quite sure you understand what a review is. I don't know. Okay, so the good news is, if you put a micro ATX motherboard in this, and specifically an Intel one where the CPU will align with this cutout, I'm sure your experience will be different than if you try to put a full-size ATX AM4 socketed motherboard in there. Because again, if you try to put the cooler on afterwards, you will not be able to get to this half of the sockets over here behind this panel. Marco says, if it doesn't explode, yeah, maybe that's the measure some of these reviewers are using. Built computer into fragile case, did not self-destruct, no lost fingers, 5 stars. I think that seems to be a very optimistic review. That's not the way I review stuff. So I've got this motherboard sitting here. This is a board that I built with Steve Bass using a very well-built NZXT H510 case, which is less than 1/3 of the price of this case. I think it's about 1/3 of the price of this case right here. The NZXT case, much better built, much more versatile, and has much better cooling than this with 0 RGB, right? So the stuff that actually matters is better and cheaper from NZXT. And the stuff that doesn't matter is potentially dangerous, frustrating, with 0 cable management, and costs more than twice as much. You know, decide for yourself, I guess. I'm blown away. I don't even know what to say. I'm going to put this in here, and I just realized I don't have the I/O shield. Do I have the I/O shield in the box? No, I left it in the NZXT case. I have to go get it. I thought I was prepared. It's a hot dog case. Do you get it? This is a hot dog case. You want a different angle? Let's give you a different angle and show you how delicious this hot dog looks. Let's go to this angle over here. You want a bite of that? Okay, let me find. I did something with the I/O shield. Give me a second. Yeah, I didn't. There it is. I didn't take it out. I was in such a hurry. Oops. My apologies, I snagged my microphone on the case and I tightened the screw with a screwdriver, so I have to remove the side panel so I can get the I/O shield out. Or wait, maybe I don't have to do that. No, I don't have to do that. Just doing things the hard way. I have an I/O shield. Ta-da! What could go wrong? Oh, I'm on this camera. What could go wrong? Certainly not addressing the wrong camera. It's in here. I built a computer out of leftover parts at a junkyard. I think it looks pretty good. Cost me 26 cents. What's yours cost? $160. Uh-huh. All right. Okie dokie. Okie doke. Let's put this down. It's very light. It's made of very thin metal. You see there's, over here, you see there's two mounting holes right where my fingers are. And they're going to align with those standoffs I was referring to that are not, they're not removable. So instead of me putting the motherboard I want to put in here, which is the full-size ATX AMD build, I'm going to use a micro ATX Intel build. So I am accommodating the needs of the case rather than my needs. You understand why I have a problem with that, right? I don't get to build the computer I wanted to. I have to adapt what I'm going to build to what's going to fit in this case. And I'm not just referring to the CPU socket design and the cutout in the back. I'm also referring to the size of the fan, because this, I'm sorry, this is not an Intel build. My apologies. This is still an AMD build, obviously. This is a, what is this? A B450M motherboard. This is an AMD board, but it's not an ATX AMD board. It's a micro ATX. My apologies. I think we're still going to have a problem with the cutout not aligning. So if I want the cutout on the back of the motherboard tray to align, I have to use an Intel board. I think that's what I was trying to say, and I kind of word saladed the whole thing, and this is what happens when it's live and unscripted. That's in my incompetence, but mostly because it's live and unscripted. That's the story I'm sticking with. Now, there's nothing to align the board. There's no center post to hold the board in place like most manufacturers give you these days. It is it just lays there and wobbles around, and you have to sort of kind of look at this and go, okay, where does it align? And there's absolutely no assistance to hold the board into position for you. You will have to align it yourself. And this part here, oh gosh, I have to really push on this side of the board because it will not align with that standoff. And as soon as I let it go, it moves a full standoff away in distance. So the only thing that's going to hold that is a screw. Wow. I cannot express to you how bad this is. Oh. There's a whole nother problem I'm going to show you. Here's a little baggie that's included that gives you a spare thumb screw for the glass panels, a very minimal amount of case screws, and of course, what computer case isn't complete until you have the remote control? You already have a keyboard and a mouse, but don't use that. Let's give you another device, because we all don't have enough stuff that can do something you can already do with the keyboard and the mouse you already have. We don't want you to actually use the computer. We want you to sit on the couch and grab the remote and just change the colors, because that's what a computer's for. I think they've confused a computer with a lamp. I'm not sure, but that's what it appears to be. This is more of a lamp, really. All right. I don't know why they've included these. I don't know what they're for. I have no clue. There's these weird standoffs that look like they're part of a liquid cooler installation. I have no idea where they go or why. It doesn't make any sense. I have no idea. There are zero instructions, no instructions, nothing. Nothing for me to throw and to make fun of. It just doesn't exist. So I guess you just have to use your imagination. There's a lot of random screws. I think they just picked bits up off the factory floor. I bet you no two bags are the same. It may not be true, but I wouldn't be surprised if it were true. I mean, I'm just trying to make sense out of what I'm witnessing here. Now, I'm going to put in these fine threaded screws we typically use on optical drives and 2.5-inch SSDs to hold the board in. And I'm going to start with this one in the back that's really, really hard for me to push forward to align it. Okay, got it in. Thank goodness. And now I got to move to the other side. Oh dear. Oh boy. I'm going to leave it right there for now. I want to show you what the problem is. Let's pick it up and let's take a look. Now, take a look at the back. See if we can show you the back good enough there. This cutout actually fits this board. I can reach, this whole piece. On a full-size ATX board, this metal bracket behind the CPU on an AMD full-size ATX board is over here. That's why this cutout is not wide enough. Okay, number one. Number two, remember those standoffs I said you can't move? It gets worse. Let me grab the close-up camera. You got to see this to believe it. So since I can't put the full-size ATX board in because the back interferes, like right here, right? This cutout interferes with a full-size ATX. So I'm going to use a micro ATX and solve that problem. Also, I can't use a full-size ATX because I can't remove the middle standoff that'll ground against the back of the ATX motherboard. Not a problem. I'll just use a micro ATX motherboard. But now we have new problems. So the cutout problem is solved on this board, and the standoff problem is solved, but it introduces us to a brand new problem regarding standoffs. This is, you see how the whole case moves because it's not attached? Well, that's the way the motherboard's going to install. So, I mean, if that's the thing you're going for, this is the case for you. Let me switch over to this camera here. Give me just a minute here to let's see. Let's turn this on. Let's go to the wireless camera. Just point it at the floor. There we go. Okay, now we'll just go look at, see, tripping hazards down here. Okay, so let's take a look at this again. Here we are. We're looking at the inside. Everything looks great. It's wonderful. Now we're going to use this hole here and this one here. This one's the trouble one, right? That's the one I can't remove, and that's going to short out against a full-size board, which would go all the way, which secure down to this one instead. You understand? It's this one or this one. It's never both. Well, very rarely would a motherboard use both. And so typically you'd take that one out and you'd move it down here, but they've welded all these in. So you come around and you look up here and you say, okay, well, we've got a standoff here, screw down, and we've got a standoff here. That's the one I just struggled to put in just now. And then we've got one here, which you can see the wall through. So apparently you put an invisible standoff back there that secures against nothing. I think Dr. Strange can help us with that. And then finally, we've got this one down at the bottom, which has no standoff at all. There's nothing back there. So you have standoffs where you don't need them, and where you do need them, there's no option to place one. So let's take another look. Let's turn it back around. Let's take a look. What's back there? Well, this is a tray for holding your 3.5-inch drive, apparently, a 3.5-inch or 2.5-inch drive. And this is 2.5-inch drive only, just above it. Okay, now that looks a little thicker, so I guess maybe you could put two in there. Maybe you put one inside and one outside, so you could double it. You might be able to even do the same thing, one if it's slim enough in here, and then one on the outside of it. Apparently, the concept behind this case is you're just supposed to attach stuff on it like a Christmas tree. You just hang stuff off the edges like it's ornaments. I don't know. It's very strange. There's our fan controller, but there's no way for me to secure this mounting hole for I guess I have to get a really long screw and attach it to something secure in the room several feet away. I don't know how that's supposed to work. And then the other one down here, right? Yeah, no, not going to happen. So even that's not going to fit. It's absolutely not going to fit. I mean, it fits, but it doesn't fit properly. It doesn't secure properly. But it will cool great as it pulls nothing against the glass into the case. That's beautiful. And because of the narrow nature of trying to get a power supply in here, these are in the way. You have to take these out to put a power supply in here, because you see how they're taking up room inside the case? This case is just wide enough for that power supply to fit down in here. And so these fans make it impossible because they're an obstruction. So if you have to replace a power supply, which is a 2-minute job, it's not going to be a 2-minute job because of these really important fans that are absolutely doing nothing for you except giving you pretty lights. They're in the way, and they will constantly be in your way anytime you have to do anything to this case. Okay. And there you have it. That's about as good as it's going to get. You might as well just put one screw in it and leave it, because adding the additional screw here and adding the additional screw there, so we can secure one side of this board in the top, and there's nothing else to secure. We cannot secure, oh yeah, wait a minute. I guess we can secure the middle, but we can't secure this side of the board at all. And that's good enough as far as this company is concerned. For $160, you get good enough. There are much better case designs, much better built cases for far less money, whether we're looking at, other manufacturers like Corsair, NZXT, Thermaltake even, what else? Fantex. You could literally name anybody. I don't think anybody is as bad as this. Anything is an improvement and is probably less expensive. It is probably easier to work on and probably runs quieter and probably doesn't have proprietary fans and probably has more liquid cooling options and probably accommodates more internal components. This is if you want to mount everything outside, because that's what a computer case is for. It's practically a wall-mounted computer case placed on a desktop. It's a weird, I don't know what they're thinking. It just hurts my brain. I'm so confused right now. What is the accomplishment here? Where's the innovation? Where's the quality and the pride behind the value? You know, look at this. Can you see the indentations in the paint on how poorly they have covered up the screws holding these pieces in? I don't know if I can get you the right angle on that. There it is. Look at. This looks like something my cousin did. Hey, you want to come see this case I made? How'd you make it? Old Coca-Cola cans? And I took some fans out of the back of some old computers people were throwing away, cleaned them up real pretty, I plug them in, and I just hang everything on the outside. Yeah. I know what you're thinking. So what do you think of this case, Carey? Yeah, it's pretty good. Let me switch back over to the main input here. We'll take another walk back around. In the back of this. It's quite an illusion. One of these days I'll get around to it. But since you can't see it, you didn't see that. I'm not done with it yet. That's why. Sure. All right. And now I'm back to the wrong camera. Let's go back to camera 1. There we go. Now, I don't know. Should I bother hooking it up? I mean, honestly, do you want to see it? The only thing you're going to see are the fans lit up. The motherboard has already had Windows installed. It hasn't been updated in a long time. And so when I put the power supply in it and I hook it up and hook up the front switches and fans, it's going to boot and you're going to see it. And then, you know, you put the glass over it and it's going to look exactly the same. Can you just imagine it with the fans lit up and completely exposed to animals and fingers with no fan guards? Or do you want me to put it together so you can physically see it? Because I really don't want to. But I will if you want me to. I mean, if you really want me to try the hot dog, I'll try it. But I just really... Mr. No says it needs more fans. You're right. I mean, they missed an opportunity here. They absolutely missed... I don't know why there's just not giant fans that secure to the sides. And forget the glass. Just give me like a box fan I can attach. Catherine says, no, I don't want you to build in this case. Bill Brulette says, trash the case. That's like telling me to trash $160, right? I'm already $160 into it. Maybe I can recover some of that loss from a video. Matt Powers says, no, stop. Frank Jimmy says, hard pass. Robert Maxwell says, no. Go Shadow says, if you put it all together, then you're going to have to take it all back apart. I like the way you think, because that is true. Arto says, no. Jason Wyrick says, no need. 61 says, a suitable case for recycling treatment in the trash. Luke Greenia says, nope. Throw mine up there and finish her up, and I'll send you another $100. Yeah, well, then I'll only be $60 in the hole. Kenny says, send it back. You know how much money it costs to send it back? Robert says, shoot the case. Catherine says, I should sell it to somebody I hate. Hey, Mitch, you want to buy a case? AC's DraftKings contributed $50. He says, throw it on the ground. Ain't part of this system. And Red Dragon contributes $5. He says it needs the shotgun treatment. Go Shadow says, empty the case out, fill it with ice, and use all the fans to cool the room. Well, you know, I suppose it could make a good ice maker, like an ice crusher. That would actually be quite useful if I could, fill a cup with crushed ice. Just, look at all the pretty colors in my ice. Jim says, go get another MX410 and put this case out of its misery. Jason says, Amazon will take it back. Will they? I don't think they will. I kind of want to keep it. You know why? It's so bad. I can't imagine ever seeing anything this bad. And it sort of needs to stand as a staple of stupid and expensive. Like if this was cheap, if this was a $50 case, totally forgivable. But this is exploitive as it gets. Steve M. has contributed $20. He says, long time no see, Carey. Thanks to your advice, I have successfully started my own business. Right on, Steve. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. And Niall Bauer contributes $10. Thank you, Niall. Samuel Ramos says, hacksaw it. That's too much work. Joshua Robinson says, it's a conversation piece. Yeah. That's for sure. But you can buy a conversation piece for $6. You don't have to spend $160 combined with another $800 in parts to struggle to fit into it. I thought we were building a computer. I'm confused now. Which thing are we building? And Blackwatch says, I have missed some super chats. All right, well, let's, my bad. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Well, what have I missed? Once again, YouTube is not giving me a history of the super chats. So let me scroll. If they're too far back, then there's nothing I can do. And my apologies. It looks like Chevy contributed $1. Yeah. Red Dragon contributed $5, says good to be back online, and says hello to everybody. AC's Drafting contributed $20. He says this is how you roast a structural travesty. So given that AC's Drafting's career involves the engineering of structures, could be the engineering of a computer case or the engineering of, I don't know, whatever. He's doing 3D modeling. He could understand the structural integrity and design of this case. From his perspective, I'm sure, is profoundly amateurish. I'm speaking on his behalf, but I suspect that's what he's thinking or similar, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not an engineer. And this looks bad to me for obvious reasons. I can't imagine if I was an engineer and actually knew about engineering, how much more fault or concern I would have. Blackwatch wants to know if Mitch sent me that case of jokes. No, these are all mine. Baltic? Sorry, I can't pronounce your name. Says, the paint job is triggering me now. My apologies. Okay, so look. I mean, at this point, I want to make sure that the feedback I'm getting from the chat room is not influenced by me. Is there anybody in the chat room with an open and objective mindset that can play devil's advocate on what the rest of us are missing? Nabolsa Botic contributes $3.50 Canadian and said, this case, it's the Loch Ness Monster's cousin. The case, it came from the post office, and I said, what do you want, case? And the case It looked at me and it said, I need about $350. Okay. Knowing that the paint is triggering you, knowing that the paint is triggering some of you, I want you to know this is a brand new case. Brand new. I removed it from the box myself just a couple days ago. It has not collided, nor has anything collided with it. This is how it came out of the box. And when you pay $160, and you're very careful to select what color, what shade of white you want, imagine taking it out of the box. Oh, did I turn the camera off? Hold on. Hold on. I got to turn the camera on. Power on. There we go. Camera's coming on. Give it a second. Here we go. Here we go. It's coming. It's sinking right there. Look at that. This is what I like to see on a brand new case. The paint rubbed off in the box through shipping. I mean, it's okay if I do it, but yeah. And if you take a closer look, you will find missing paint. And overall, I think they need to use a finer brush. This doesn't appear to be quality paint. Nothing about this the buttons seem pretty nice. So there's that. It'd be nice if you could remove those bottom feet, right? No, those are rivets. Rivet. Rivet. If that was a screw, wouldn't that be cool? You could unscrew that. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait, there's something. What is this? And this is a big empty hole. There's nothing. Okay, there's something's holding down the left side, but nothing is holding down the right side. Wait a minute. You see that, right? Hole, secure. Hole, secure. These two pieces are not connected in any way, shape, or form. The structure of this one does not impact the structure of this one. They are not attached. But apparently only this side needs, oh my. The more I look at this, it's not good. I mean, look at the top. Let's take a closer look at the top. Look at this corner. Rivet, screw, rivet, screw. How about the other side? Rivet, screw. Those are the screws for the fans. And a carrying handle, so you can take it wherever you want to go, like out to the curb. All right, hold on. Let me grab my mouse and switch back over to camera one. Okay. I hope I didn't make most of you seasick. But I thought, since you can't really go to Disneyland, that's about the closest I can get you. Oops. What am I doing? Okay. All right. I could probably go for another hour pointing out more flaws and quality control issues, and explaining why they are unacceptable at this price point. At a cheaper price point, little details, you'd say, well, you're nitpicking. Well, yes. If I buy an Aston Martin, brand new, for $160,000, and there is a scratch in the paint upon delivering that brand new vehicle to me, you damn right I'm going to complain about it. Okay? But if I'm buying a used Chevy Spark for $2,500 on Craigslist and it's missing a front bumper and a headlight, good enough. And what we've got here is we've got a mid-tier priced case built at a low tier price quality. So these things do not align. It would be acceptable if they aligned. If you were truly getting what you were paying for, then you would lower your expectations. And when I say you, I mean me. I mean most people would set their expectations according to what they're paying. If I go to McDonald's and I order a hamburger, I am not expecting Wagyu beef. I'm not expecting Kobe beef. In fact, I'm not really expecting beef. Okay? So, but that's based on what I pay. If I go to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant and I order his $20 hamburger, it better be a damn good burger. It better not be served cold. It better be cooked the way I want it. It better taste delicious. And it better feel like a $20 burger, right? If you give me a McDonald's burger in a $20, in an atmosphere of a nice restaurant, it doesn't align. I'm not going to go to a fancy restaurant and then order fast food quality food. But there's nothing wrong with fast food quality food. If you're in the mood, you don't want to invest a lot of money, you're in a hurry, you're paying a little, and you're getting exactly what you pay for. This is a lie, because the way that they're promoting this is deceptive and manipulative. And the value that they're placing on it is completely devoid of any reality. There's no way that this costs $160. I mean, the typical profit margin is being, like if you look at the average profit margin of an NZXT case or a Corsair case or a Fantex case or a Fractal Design case, they all pretty much have the same profit margin. And all of a sudden, you got a case where the profit margin is profoundly different. It's it must be an extraordinary profit margin. And and that's true with quality products, right? You can buy luxury items like Rolex, Michael Kors, Prada, Gucci, Coach, and their profit margins are much, much higher. The product quality is higher, but it's not matching for the amount of money you're spending. You're paying that extra for that luxury brand name. This feels like they're charging a luxury brand price. If you look at what I paid for that giant Thermaltake AHT600 case, or look at what I paid for the Conquer 2, or look at what I paid for the Antec Torque 2, they were like $200 each. They're like $40 more than this, and so much more versatile, so much better built, and more things were welded in place, and they were well constructed, and better materials, and secured, and no scratches in the paint job fresh out of the box, and markings were clear, and no unnecessary fans that do nothing. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, putting fans up against glass. And for a fast food price, fine. But at this price, unacceptable. Unacceptable. All right, there's a couple contributions that came in, so a few more shouts out. Joshua Robinson contributes $20. Let's make Joshua blue in here. Thank you, Joshua. AC's drafting another contribution. $10 this time. He said it's an alien stepchild. Mark Hunter contributes $5. Hey, Mark, thank you. And AC, of course, thank you again. Steve M contributes $50. He says, the education you've given to me has changed my life. Well, I hope it's more than just what we learned about what to watch for in some of these cases. Kaizaisen says, I could find love for your first AMD build, but not this case. So people showing me the positive side. The rivets make it easier because you just have to, I don't know, Dremel tool off the rivet to take it apart. I don't know how you put it back together again, but okay. It's a weight reduction feature. By preventing you from putting stuff in there, it keeps it lighter. I like that you're looking at the positive side. Nabulsa says, I don't trust that plastic handle. I don't think the handle is plastic. No, that's a metal handle. How's it secured? Is it secured with screws? Or is it secured with glue and tape? Oh, it's screws. That actually comes out, surprisingly enough. So things that you should never have to take off are removable, and things that you would need to make removable are riveted in. Let's just be different, even though it doesn't make any sense, doesn't flow any logic, and doesn't reduce the cost of it. It sounds good to me. Well, I need a light. Okay. Come on now. Having a hard time getting the screwdriver in here. Very close quarters in here. Yeah, that's metal. Did you hear it? It's a very well-made handle. I would say for $160, that is the kind of quality that you can expect. This is probably the best built piece of the whole case. It does not appear to be painted the same color for some reason. It's silver when the rest of the case is white or black. It's definitely metal and very well constructed. This is the best part of the case. It's removable. The paint job on it is fantastic because it just looks like it's brushed aluminum, and I don't think there's any paint on it. And it fits my hand perfectly. This is a great handle. This is the best part of the whole case. And the glass is nice too. So the glass and the handle. But everything else, not so much. Matt says, I love your videos, but this is painful. Well, it would only be painful if you were the one paying for it. Consider this. Your education at my cost. Go back to the munch pack. Okay, that was funny. That's from Frank Jimmy. Thanks, Frank. I needed that. Joshua says, this is one of those things you haul out to the curb, but it's still there in the morning. Yeah, I'm afraid that might be true. Or somebody took it, didn't know what they were taking. And they're going to go from pawn shop to pawn shop, find out it's worth nothing, and then realize why it was at the curb. Ed says the dents, the missing paint, and the weirdness makes it more valuable. It's called weathering. I should be priceless. I'm pretty weathered. Carey, could you take the case away? I just ate. What's the matter? You don't like hot dogs? And Ed said, people actually pay more for that. Yes. Yes, they do. That's the point. Did you ever wonder where all the recyclable cans go to that you throw away, that you put in the recycle bin? Apparently, some things are better left in a landfill. Andreas said this must be a worst case scenario. That's clever. I like that. Very good. Gold star. That's blue status right there. That's what we're talking about. Samuel Ramos says it's the Frankenstein of cases. No, because you're implying Frankenstein is bad. You know, the Xenos build is kind of a Frankenstein of a case, and it's beautiful. This is happy normal. Do you still have your gun? That case looks like a new target to shoot at. Yeah, there's nothing to hit. The bullets will just go right through all the holes. They go through one side and won't even touch it. Ghost Shadow contributes $5. Put it at the curb. Someone takes it and then puts it back the next day. That would be bad. When somebody takes something from the curb and then returns it back to the curb the next day, yeah, that's they're sending you a message. Michael Martin with a £5 contribution said, I see you really love this case. I'll buy 5. Not. And Steve M contributes $10, says, I've been watching your channel and videos for a long time, and it's not just the cases, it's everything. Thank you. I appreciate your kind words. I do try to mix it up. Try to have a variety of content here, so not every video is for every person, but hopefully you find something you like. Take what you want and leave the rest. Certainly an attitude I'd like to see people have with money. I want all of it. Just take what you need. I need all of it. Just take what you need. Leave the rest for other people. No, it's all mine. Rent a steamroller and use it to crush the case and then scrap it. Do you know how much it would cost to rent a steamroller and the city permits required? Yeah. Yeah, I think there's an expression called cutting your losses. Honestly, I would buy this case just to make this video. It's money worth spent. Because I hope the people who built this case are not personally offended, but instead understand that these are legitimate complaints, and if they actually listen to the free advice and implement that into future designs and revisions, they could actually make a good case. You understand? Anybody who takes anything I've said as though I'm attacking them, I am defending myself against getting ripped off. And I'm helping to advocate on behalf of all consumers that watch out, or you can get ripped off too. And in my opinion, this is a complete ripoff. And with the numerous items that I have exposed being addressed and corrected, this has the potential to be a very good case. But if they double down and they just get nasty and there's no justification to having 2 fans here. If you want to remove the fans and just have RGB circles, great. Take the blades out of them. Or don't make them fans. Don't make them blades. Just put little sticks. If that's what you want there, just put little RGB sticks that spin. I used to have a spectrum analyzer in the 1980s plugged into my stereo, and it was a black box. It looked like a picture frame, but it was perfectly square, and it was about 3 inches thick. And I bought it at Spencer's at the mall. The mall. It's a place we used to go to buy stuff. Anyway, what it had was a bar inside of it, a wooden piece, like a propeller, a one-piece propeller, with RGB lighting that changed colors inside to outside. And you plugged it into the output or the tape out of your stereo system, and when you powered it on, that bar spun, and as the lights moved in and out opposing each other, and it spun, it created these really cool designs to the beat of the music. It's completely pointless. It did nothing to make my music sound any better. It wasn't an equalizer. It wasn't an amplifier. It wasn't doing anything to improve the quality of the sound in any way, shape, or form. And it provided no benefit whatsoever other than to visually see the music represented through multicolored lights that spin to form these cool little patterns. By the way, that's now a piece of software you can download and put on your computer for free. But that's now, and this was then. They could do something like that here. To put fans that are intended to cool and to use them in a way they were never designed is preposterous. It's simply preposterous. It's foolish. It's like you take something that has a purpose and then you diminish its purpose by using it for some ridiculous reason. It just reminds me, there's a YouTube channel here called Just Rolled In. And it's about people bringing their cars to shops and saying, you know, customer states, I need the rear axle welded. I temporarily tack welded it. And you look and they used a 9/16 wrench as the support bar to weld. And they said, really, you sacrificed a 9/16? Like, of all the wrenches, that's one that's most used. Why wouldn't you use a wrench not as common? So and that wrench is ruined. It has to be replaced with a proper support bar. And the fact that the wrench didn't break under the stress of driving the car, because it's not designed for that, is an offense to everybody who's ever had to turn a wrench. Because the 9/16 in America, that is a very commonly used wrench. And it's offensive. You use something in a way that it wasn't designed to be used, and it's dangerous, and it ruins the very thing. And it's like, really? Seriously? That's the amount of thought you put into this? It's disappointing. How are you still alive if this is your decision-making process? How have you not died? It's very strange. And so placing fans that are not designed, let me put it this way. And I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but just think about this for a minute. In the 1990s, when we installed fans on computers, they didn't have lights. You with me? And in the 1990s, if we were to put two fans on the side of the computer case and put a glass panel on it, they would just be fans. And you'd say, that doesn't make any sense, Carey. I'd be like, you're right. But now that we've added RGB unnecessarily to case fans, now we can inappropriately use those case fans for the RGB instead of for the fan. Are you getting this? Are you seeing the twisted logic and how this has manipulated and lost its purpose over something that is completely unnecessary and, in my opinion, results in being stupid and a waste of money? There had to be something else they could put there that specifically for that purpose. Speechless. That's never happened. AZ's drafting another contribution, $10. He says, get with Demolition Ranch and collaborate about its destruction. I can't be bothered. If I have to pay any more money into this case, even to get rid of it, it's just more money flushed down the toilet. Ghost Shadow. Oh, that one I read already. Okay, we went through that one. Are the fans reusable? Vern, you know, it's a very good question. Yes and no. Because the fans have this 6-pin connector here on the end, what they've done is they've included the fan power and the RGB power, which is normally two separate cables, and they've combined it into one cable and one connector, which is very convenient, but it's not an industry standard. So if we take these fans out and keep them with this controller, we can move this controller into another case. And, you know, you can just have one fan or up to what appears to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fans, well, 7, 8. It looks like you can have 8 fans, and I'm just glancing at it. 1 to 8 fans on that controller, but they have to be these fans. Or I suppose maybe on Amazon somewhere somebody is selling this fan with a 6-pin header. So kinda. The fans are kinda reusable as long as you keep the fan controller with them. Yes. Would that case be more ideal for a Bitcoin rig of some sort? I mean, the monster box looks sweeter than myself. It's not a monster box. It's very tiny. It's an illusion. It's very, very narrow. And the problem with cryptocurrency mining is the amount of energy it uses. And the amount of energy it takes you to create the cryptocurrency to mine it offsets the cost of the value of the cryptocurrency you're mining. So why would you want to increase your energy usage to add unnecessary RGB lighting to further deficit the cost of manufacturing the cryptocurrency, of mining the cryptocurrency? I've never seen a professional cryptocurrency mining rig that has RGB lighting for that very reason. It would consume more power and your profit margins would be narrowed, that it would cost you more money to run that computer, and therefore every bit of cryptocurrency you mine costs you more money to mine. Does that make sense? So why would you do that? Because it's pretty. Okay. I think this case should come with a free helmet. Any last questions? We're going to wrap it up for today. It's about 3:40 in the afternoon. And apart from plugging this in and turning it on, which, you know, I could do it. Again, I kind of get a feeling you know what to expect. These fans, they run at full speed. They are full speed fans. The speed is not adjustable. There are 7 of them. And there's no noise insulation. Do you want me to keep going? Because I can still point out some more flaws. So if you could imagine the fan spinning in the colors like any other RGB fan. If you can't imagine that and you want me to hook it up, I will. If you Google or if you search YouTube on this case, let me know if you find a video where they spell the name of the case correctly. That's the attention of detail. Like, if you can't spell the name of the case correctly, I'm not sure I'm trusting your judgment on looking at the minute details of the case. You understand what I'm saying? Like, some of these YouTube content creators who have built in this case and weren't harsh about it also can't do something as simple as spell the name of the case correctly. So is that advice you want to take from somebody on that level of, you know, I don't know, maybe I'm being judgmental, but I see that as a red flag. I'm like, well, I mean, if you can't spell the case correctly, I'm not quite sure I trust your opinion on the design of the case. You apparently don't really have a refined sense of detail. But it may be very judgmental of me. Let's share the 80 dB goodness. Fill the case with ice and let the fans blow the cold air into the room. Set the fans to blow the air out. What's going to hold the ice, though? They're just going to fall out the holes. Hey, there's Marty. Welcome in, Marty. Contributes $5. The Cyberbrun power supply, this was sent to me from Enermax, and I was going to showcase their power supply to use in this build because it's a budget power supply, and I thought, you know, it's a budget build, until I really started to get into it, and I was like, oh, this would, I think, be an insult to Enermax, quite honestly, and that's not my intent. My intent was to sort of, you know, keep everything the same, right? Budget case, budget power supply. And so I thought for $160 that this could have been a $300 case, right? For $160 from the pictures, it looks like a $300 case or a $250 case. So $160 sounded like a good deal until I got it. I said, this is not a $250 case. This is not a $160 case. This is a sub $100 case with the quality of the materials and the lack of materials. Ryan says, I didn't spell the name of the case correctly in the stream's title. either. It's KEDIRE, and they spell it with an S. A lot of people switch the R and the E and the R. Right? KEDIRE. I spelled it KEDIRE. A lot of other content creators mix the E and the R and they put it backwards, but I guess there's an S on the end. And I was considering the S as a plural, like more than one, but it appears that there is an S. You got me. Guilty. But unlike those other content creators, I will correct it. Jason says $160 case is not a budget case. Again, I thought it was a $300 case for $160. And in that situation, in that scenario, in that case, that's a budget case, a budget $300 case. Do you understand the logic of where I was going? In much the same way, this power supply is a budget power supply. You could buy a more expensive 600 watt power supply, but it doesn't mean it's a bad power supply. It means that in many ways, this is on par with more expensive power supplies, but because it doesn't have that big name brand behind it, or the profit margin isn't as great, they charge less for it. So I thought it would, these would match up if that explains that logic any better. But what I do with the power supply, like we can just take what do I do with it? It's right here. So without actually installing it, like if we just want to set it down and plug it in just so you can enjoy the bling, and I'll try and talk over the sound of the fans. We'll see what happens here. It doesn't really improve the looks in any way, shape, or form, putting the power supply in the case. I suppose we could just hang it off the edge like everything else they show in them. I mean, if you can put the radiator outside, why can't we just mount the radiator with some Velcro on the side here? Why not? I mean, why stop there? Wow, that did not want to go in. It just fell off. So this is because the board is so loose and wobbly, I can't get the connector to stay on. It can't push, the board is flexing away from the power connector, so I have to find a way to support it. Yeah, this is not working at all. Oh, wait a minute, I think it did it. Okay, there's one thing. And CPU power is right here. CPU power, sorry, the cables are very tangled. Oh, this is a weird design. So Enermax gives us two separate 4-pin cables going all the way to the power supply. Oh, that's not good. Well, look, I suppose if you only needed one of them, it saves you some cable management. But if you need two of them, it doubles your cable management. That's not good. All right, that's fine, whatever. Maybe this power supply goes with this case after all. Sorry, Enermax. Let's see, this is USB. This is this is our header, front panel header. Let's hook this up real quick so we can power it up. There's no reset switch. That's not a killer deal, but you think for $160, they wouldn't be shy about putting another switch? You know the cheaper NZXT case, the H510? That has a reset switch. Just saying. It's built stronger, better. No missing screws. Accommodates the proper size case with the proper standoffs. Sells for less money. But, what do I know? And then finally, the last thing I have to hook up would be just the fan controller board here in the back, which is just a standard SATA power connector. And we'll just we'll run that through. We'll keep it out the back here. Sure. Let's put the power supply back here. This is the front USB and audio. I'm not going to bother with hooking that up because it won't make any difference. I just need a standard SATA plug, power plug, and then I just need to attach it right like so. Okay. Who's in the mood for barbecue? Let me grab a keyboard and a mouse, and we'll fire this hot dog up. Let's see, we need, I don't really need to plug video into it. And for that matter, I really didn't need to plug the keyboard and mouse in. All I really have to do is turn it on because this is all about the fans. This is not about the motherboard, the RAM, the storage, the performance. None of that matters on a build like this. This is all about the fans. You know, they always said, Carey, you should make more videos for the fans. And I said, you know, I think I will today. So this is for all the fans out there. Okay. I want to turn this on with a 10-foot pole. Hold on. I just don't feel safe. Okay. Step over here. And I'll just stand a safe distance away. Okay, I have a broom handle here. Just reach in there. Is this the power button? I don't know which one it is. You didn't actually think it was going to work, did you? Yeah, turn the power supply on. Okay. Okay, here we go. Oh my God. Okay. Just set this here in case I have to stomp out a fire. Do you like it now? Oh, it's actually pretty good. No, it isn't. Sure it is. No, it isn't. The good news is the sound of my air conditioner is kind of drowning out the sound of these fans. Don't forget the fans on top. Now, just take the remote control that came with your computer and adjust the colors. It's red, green, blue, orange, blue, purple, yellow, green, pink. I don't know what this does. Check 1 2, check 1 2. Is it moving to my voice? No. Does it move to my voice? Totally worth $160. $160. Wait, what does this one do? Hello? Hello? Hello, my name is KareyHolzman. I like to know that I exist. If I make noise and no one is around to hear me, am I making any noise? According to these LEDs, I exist. This makes me feel powerful. Well, there's a button that says auto. What does that do? What if I keep pressing it? I don't know. It just doesn't do anything. It just puts it in off. How about that? Hey, that's the best look yet. That'll be the worn out button on the remote control, I'm predicting. Hold on, let's turn it back on. And let's see if we can lower the brightness. Can we dim this down? No? Is it lying to me? Or does it only work with a solid color? Solid color? Yes? No? Maybe? Anything? Hello? Nothing? Not some... Oh, here we go. Oh! Look what I can do. Probably should have had a warning on this video for people that have a sensitivity to flashing lights. So I apologize if you've had seizures. It just seems to be doing the same thing over and over and over again in different colors. Anyway, the great thing about a case like this is it always makes sure that you're aware of your surroundings, because if you casually place your hand into the fan, it'll teach you not to do that. Because there's nothing to prevent you from just reaching over and saying, oh, yeah, that's not a good idea. Okay, so lessons are learned. What is this doing? Okay, now apparently it's going to flash when I talk. I wish I met a woman like that. Anyway, listen, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. This has been a very unique experience, which I hope to never have again. I can check it off my bucket. This is really annoying. Can I stop this? Maybe like that? You're still gonna... Okay, yeah. This is where we're at. Maybe do that. You know, it's possible in life. I just want you to think about this. It's possible that you can... Oh, why am I looking over here? It's possible that you can have your cake and eat it too. There's no point in having some cake if you cannot eat it. I don't know why that's a benefit. But what I'm trying to say is, if you like the look, if you like how pretty the fans are, fine. Put it into a quality case. You don't have to exclude one from the other. You don't have to sacrifice the quality of the case to have the pretty fans. Remember, a big glass panel is going on here. It's going to completely block any airflow. KEDIERS says, I think it's going to bring a lot of dust in since there's no mesh near the front fans. I don't think there's enough fans or RGB. Yeah, of course it's going to bring dust in. Any open concept case. What does the front button do? The front button is an RGB button. So basically what the remote was doing, I guess. If we push it, it should cycle through different patterns of the fan. It's all the same stuff. Eventually, we should get to maybe, once it cycles through the colors, it might cycle maybe through different light patterns. But so far, it just looks like different colors of the same pattern. I don't see a way to shift the pattern. I think I've gone all the way around. Oh, there's some different patterns now. Took a while. Now we're back to solid colors. Ah, it's a little different. But, you know, you can go on Amazon and you can buy a lamp that you can do all this with a lamp. I'm still looking at that camera. You can do all of this with a $15 lamp. You understand? And you can place the lamp on or near your computer, save some money, and have the same effect. It's certainly more honest. It's more economical. It's more. It doesn't involve any cable management or interference with the installation of parts in the way that they've done it here. That's all I'm getting at. I guess holding the button in turns it off. It's really not that, it's not as loud as I thought it was going to be. If you'd have told me when I started building computers in 1991 professionally that customers would be paying me to do this, wouldn't believe you. And no customer has paid me to do this, so this is something a hobbyist does. Or a very boutique computer builder. For whatever that's worth. All right, guys, thanks again for watching. I'll see you all very, very soon. Until then, bye for now.